Sure. Thank you so much, Alessio. So it was a brilliant introduction. I catch most of it. Some words I'm kind of lost, but yeah.
Okay.
So thank you so much for the opportunity again to you, Alfredo, and to the entire organization. So I feel very honored to be speaking for the Italian community about the topic that is very dear to my heart. Short story. So 5, 6 years ago, I became a community manager, and actually it was kind of a team of one, not full time. So I was doing this for half time. So we needed a way to. So I needed a way to scale my efforts. So, and by the time one of the programs that we decided to launch was a super user program. um, Superuser program, they have different flavors and meanings. I will share everything with you that you need to know if you are if anyone is considering to launch one for your company. So let me share my screen with you. Okay.
It's okay.
Okay, so you can see it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So this presentation today, it will be short. Hopefully, it would be like a crash course for you to launch or to improve your super user program. I feel by now that we could have an entire conference just focus on this type of programs, because there's so many things that we can speak about in many different examples. Yeah, so for today, I will, start by defining what is a super user program, so the different flavors or different types of super user programs, and also, how they can benefit your community and your business, your company. Then I will talk about things that you need to do for successfully launch and manage a super users programs. I'm not the most super organized person, so I love a good checklist to get me on track of things. And I will finalize, by giving some personal advice and suggestions for you to build one and to run a super user program. Okay, so super user program. So there's many names to define the same concept. So super users is one of them. You can also see champions, moderators program, expert program, ambassadors program, advocates program, and they all rely on the same concept, which is okay. So let's recognize people, getting to a framework for them to help us grow and nurture our community. Of course, there's differences. So usually super users are associated to something that is quantifiable, eventually activity or expertise on your product or on your service, expertise on your community, while advocates are more tied to the enthusiasm or the feeling of your community members, and that you can also leverage to benefit your community and your company. So a super user program, it's about rewarding and recognizing top contributors on your community, but in fact is also a framework to help them also grow, because it, because of this program, because of this recognition, many good things may come for the community members. So it's about respect, it's about eventually building a career, it's about increasing their knowledge and expertise on a specific product, for example. And this is super inspiring, right? So because you are actually doing something for community members, but at the same time you are helping growing the community. So this is a few examples of super users programs. So Spotify is a very well known one. Microsoft MVPs was the one that I first heard about. Salesforce, Google Experts program. So many communities have these types of program. So I decided to feature OutSystems in there, and I put three programs, because in fact we have three programs of this, and I will explain you a bit more in detail why we have three programs and not just one. Okay, so recognizing people and rewarding people for the efforts on your community is super inspiring, right? But if you tell this to your management, so if you are considered to launching a program and you tell this to the management, they will most likely, okay, this looks super cool, but what is the benefit for us? So if you are considering, launching and creating a super user program to help your community grow, please bear in mind that the value of these programs, or the only way that you can have a successful program is, okay, we can provide benefit to the community and community members, but we also can benefit the company. Okay, so starting by what can be the value for community members, and I'm not talking about the benefits or the perks, right? Because we will talk about this in short. I'm talking about what is the real value for these people. So the first one and most important is recognition, right? It's about giving someone a reputation that will, generate respect and influence. Another one is access. So access to other professionals like them, like-minded people, but also access to you and to your team. So if you have a community that runs around a product or a service, they will want to have a relationship with you. So they will want to speak directly with you, provide feedback, engaging with conversations about roadmap, for example, and the future of your company. And the third motive is knowledge. So it's about building their skills and giving them opportunities and tools to do exactly that. So I'm, talking here about intrinsic motivators, which are super powerful for these types of program. But what should be the value to the business? And next, actually, the value of one program like this can be the same as a community, right? So having a community can help in many different aspects of the business, as well as a super user program, which is tied to your community. So my recommendation with you is, while we can, do everything for everyone, you should focus on one area of impact. So mostly you need to decide what is the most important thing for your department. So I have here four departments, which is product, marketing, sales, customer success, which is, by the way, where usually community team sits, and also where the super user program can help. So for example, if you are on the product team, probably want to focus on improving your product. So you want to have your super users testing the early versions, providing feedback sessions, and engaging with your product team. This is very important, in particular for the companies that are considering launching a product or just launch a new product in the market. So then we have marketing team. So a good way to scale your efforts to generate awareness and interest to your community is leverage these people energy. Then we have also sales. So some of these programs are also, built to drive sales, or at least to validate the value proposition, so that you can consolidate a sale. And then we have customer success, right? So customer success is also another department where a super user program can have impact, because it can be about the flat support tickets, right? It's about scaling your efforts for supporting your customers, also about customer engagement. So leverage these people to get a super engaged community. Okay, so summarizing the benefits, or what is the value of a super user program to your community. So number one, of course, is about recognizing people and your top contributors. Number two, scaling your team efforts. So especially important if you are a team of one, or if you are doing this half time, and even if you have a big team, this is also a good way for you, to scale your efforts, and scale your efforts towards achieving your company goals or department goals. Another thing that we usually don't talk about is about giving members an aspirational target. So it's about giving them something to look for. So it's about giving, like a target. So it's about them model, or trying to follow a role model. So quick example on my community. So we usually check metrics, right? So one day I was trying to check, okay, so let me, prove again what is the value of this program. And I was checking about, the percentage of solutions that our super users give on the forums, which is pretty good. So it was around 35-40% of the solutions were given by super users. But then I decided to join to the metrics all the people that were in the run to become a super user. So all the people that were interested in, in becoming a super user, that have applied or or were in the process. And suddenly, the metric was, okay, 35% of the solutions given so 35% of the solutions given in forums are by super users, and then another 30% are by the ones that are trying to become a super user. So this is also a very good value. So it's a good motive for you to set up a super user program. So let's get into the checklist. Okay, so this is a quick checklist. I will try to be quick. Of course, there will be a lot of questions, and probably you want to discuss this further. So if you want to do that, we will have time in the end to discuss, but also feel free to reach out to me anytime after this session. I'm more than happy to discuss this topic with you all. Okay, so first topic on the checklist, and this is, so deciding the type of program is associated with the goals and objectives that we have. So what are the things that you want to achieve from having a program like this? Will help you, define what is the type of program that you want to have. So first type is the MVP. So MVP program, expert in the product. So it's kind of, about rewarding expertise on your product or service. Then we have super user, champion, leader, which is about top contributors or the ones that want to be more involved in helping the community. And then we have advocate, which is about, sharing the passion, right? So it's about spreading the word. It's about promoting your brand or your company. So this is the three main types of program. There's another type or another decision that you need to make when you are, planning to create one of these programs, which is, are you going to reward past contribution? So it's about evidence of what people did, or are you going to promote that behavior, right? So do you want people, to get into this program so that they can become more active, or it's more likely an award? Okay, so just consider this. Okay, so identifying the goals and the tasks that the super users are going to do to help you grow your community. And I put here as an example 3 different programs that we have at OutSystems that are targeting, different personas in our community, and they also have different responsibilities. Okay, so we have the MVP program, which is about recognizing experts in our product. Then we have the Champions program, which is about rewarding the most enthusiastic members, the ones that actually want to help and do something for the community. So they are present on forums, they organize meetups, they speak at events, so they do a bunch of things. And then we have our ambassador program, which is more on the business side. So they are also recognized as leaders in the community. And for example, one of the activities that they do is they participate in referral calls. So when we are, nurturing a prospect, we invite these ambassadors to speak for us on these calls. Okay, so this is more on the sales side. Okay, so just for example, different tasks that they do. Okay, so forum moderation, we have MVPs in charge of that. Of course, we could have also champions. Meetup organization, so every type of super user can do it. Product sessions, so product sessions is about feedback sessions and also trying out new features. This is for MVPs, and then reference calls, again, sales events. This is for our ambassador crew. So after defining your goals and the activities that your super users are going to do, you need to define, so what are the metrics that we are going to track? What are the things that we want to improve? What are the things that you want to report to the business that will show value? So you have different ones that you can use depending on your goals. Of course, one recommendation that I have is always balance quality versus quantity. Okay, not every metric can show impact. Sometimes you just need to measure throughput, which is fine, but in the end you should have kind of a correlation on how this metric is impacting your end goal. Okay, so another thing is, okay, so when you are about to launch a program, always be mindful that you need to have a criteria. So you need to have defined an eligible criteria, because this is not being Vera selecting people, right? So it's not me selecting my friends or my allies in the community. It's about, okay, so you you check all the boxes, and then you can enter the program. So it's important that you be transparent about the criteria for people to enter the program, but at the same time look beyond the data. So I'm talking about active users that are contributing to the community, and they probably check all the boxes, but there are other things that you should evaluate. So 4 different values. So generosity, you need to pick people that actually feel good in helping others. Then there's another one, which is leadership. So it's about people who lead by example, and they lead in problem solving. Okay, so are the ones that, okay, this needs to be fixed, and I think this should be fixed this way. So they point the finger, but they also provide solutions. Okay, so they also follow your core values, so your company values and your community values. And last but not least, you feel that one of their motivations to participate on this program is about them learning something more. So they love to learn, and and associated with that, they also love to teach. So very important when selecting your champions and your super users. So again, a few questions that I do during the interview process. So when people are nominated or apply for these types of program, this is some of the questions that I do to them, and that allow me to assess if they are a good fit or not for the program. Okay, so decide on the recruitment process. There are different ways you can recruit or find your super users. So one is data driven. This is used when you have a low touch program. So imagine that, okay, people that achieve a certain threshold, they will become power users on your community, and they will have moderator roles. So it's kind of an automatic way to identify these people by activity. I don't recommend use this method only. So it's about combining data with some kind of process. So you can have an application, so people can apply themselves to be part of the program, or people can be nominated by someone. So the application process type is usually associated to encourage participation in the community, while the nomination is more associated to reward behavior. And then, of course, I thought about the value, so the inner value to people participating in these programs, but then you have the benefits, or we call it the perks, right? So what are you going to offer to your super users in return of their efforts to grow and nurture your community? So swag is one of the most important. So we run a survey every year for our super users, and one of the things that they most enjoy is the exclusive swag that they get when they join the program. Of course, you can offer financial incentives like free certification or discounted certification and training, and other stuff. So VIP experience on events, support to speak on third-party events, etc. Okay. Very, very important, on top of having a good recruitment process, having the benefits defined, the eligible criteria defined, is so you have to have guidelines, rules, and documentation in place. Okay, so everything that we talk about, all the points are on the task list, they should be documented and public to the community, so they can understand the rules. So having guidelines in place will also help you in tough situations, because you may end on a tough situations where you want to break up with your super users, and having guidelines in place and public to everyone will help on that. Okay, so guidelines. So this is the topics that you should have documented in public. So application nomination process should be documented, as well as the selection criteria, time commitment and expectation, code of conduct, right, that will reinforce your values and the behavior that you want to have on your community and on your super user programs. NDA. So if that's the case, of having access to early versions of your products, you probably will want to have an NDA or a contract, right? So probably want to be on a more formal side and have a contract with your super users. Almost there, I promise. So this is my tips for someone who is managing a super user program or is considering to launch one. So always rely on super users to get a pulse of your community. So they are a sample of your community. So rely on them to test things out. They might not be your top advocates. So actually, if they are product experts, they may be the ones that complain most about your product. So get them involved in building and evolving your program. So get a sample of these people and work with them in building a meaningful program for them. Find your allies on the program. So imagine that you have a group of 20, 50 people. Probably inside that group that will be people that are closer to you, so use them to validate your message and to brainstorm about ideas. Remember that they don't work for you, so this is volunteers that are helping you and your community to grow. And of course, if you are managing a program like this, you know this. But what happens is when your program gains visibility inside the company, your company will be asking you things for them to do. So you need to be kind of a proxy and protect, them from the requests that will come from your company. And also, don't forget to promote your program, whether it's internally for people to see, for your company to see that you have a program and a successful program, and what are the opportunities for collaboration, but also for the outside world. So it's important that people know about your program, so people that are in there, feel special. And that's pretty much it. So motivating a group of wonder volunteers is vital for your community, but always be clear about the expectations, and clear and make clear what are the tasks or how they can help you. Trust is very important on these types of program, and always remember that while this is important for you to have a successful community and to grow your community, this is also important for you to grow the people that are in there. So that's it. I hope this session was helpful for you. If you have any questions, let me know. If you want to discuss the topic offline, let me know. I'm available on Twitter, LinkedIn, out there. So feel free to reach out.
Thank you very much. This is an applause from everyone, but there is a crowd out
Did I
there.
make it on time, Alessio?
Yeah. We have 5 minutes, 6 minutes for some questions
Okay.
about all the topics that you already covered. So there are, there are a lot of food on the plate. Ragazzi, ponete pure le domande qui nella question answer sulla destra, così posso rispondere. Allora, the first question is from a guy that is named Alessio. I guess.
Alessio
No.
Fattaroli.
Yes. Do you think that apply for the program is mandatory, or is better to pick the people from the crowd directly, looking for eligible for the values that you already mentioned?
Yeah, that is a very good question, Alessio. And actually, when we launch a program, we start by picking people. So we look at the data, we kind of check their replies on forums, and then we pick to launch the initial group. But having an application process in place will help you to find people that may interesting to your program that are not in front of your eyes, right? So usually if you decide to go, okay, I will pick those because I know them by name, I know what they are doing, there are probably people that are not so visible, but also can be a great resource for your group, right? So what happened along these years to me was, okay, I had an application process after the initial batch, right, that was invited, right? So the initial group was invited, and what happened was, okay, people apply, but they didn't meet the criteria. So what I did was I nurtured these people and helped them become or meet the criteria, so that in the next round of applications and announcements, they could get in to the program. So application will help you to have a better reach and kind of get a sense of who should be in the program that didn't reach the criteria yet.
So you give the possibility to everyone to become.
And also to know them and help them to grow to that level of activity and recognition. So
second question from Manuel: based on your experience, have you ever used interrealized tools for developing such type of program, or you ever developed it in-house? Which kind of tools do you use?
Tools that I use. Don't tell anyone, but I use a lot of spreadsheets, actually. So it's spreadsheets and Google Forms for the application. Okay, yeah, but that's a good question, because most of the community tools that you see out there that you can buy to run your community, they bring like this feature of, okay, identify the top contributors, right? So maybe so for example, vanilla forms is one of the tools that has that in the product, so you can identify by there. But yeah, so we OutSystems, we built everything for us. So it's spreadsheets. We have some in-house built tools, because OutSystems is a software that allows to build software. So you kind of have, we kind of are eating our own dog food, right? So we build our tools. So I don't have a recommendation for tools, but yeah, most of the vendors have, features that will allow you to identify your top contributors, and you can start from there.
Okay, so another question from Alessandro: how do you keep engaged the super users during the month and the years to do their job?
Yeah.
Apart from the benefits and the incentives.
Yeah, that's a very important question, and I got that question a lot. So how do you keep them engaged? There's a few tactics that you can try to keep them engaged. One of the things that I did that it was super successful, and by the way, one of the struggles that I have right now is to get them less engaged because oh my god they are so vocal. Every time that I so the tactic was I assembled a Slack workspace for them to connect and to discuss and have access to our team. So they kind of work as our extended team. So we have the community team, then we have these people that are on forums, that are organizing user groups, that are writing blog posts, they are doing localizing content, right? So they are doing a bunch of things, but they kind of organize each other by on that private channel. So this works as a way to facilitate the connections among the group. Of course, you need to explain the mission, right? You need to explain why their work is important, and often we need to remind them how important is their work. So it's not about just sharing the metrics with the business, it's also sharing the metrics with them. So yeah, so it's about giving them the vision and the mission and autonomy to do things and to suggest things. So it's about having them be part of the process of designing the strategy for the community. It's about feeling they are an extension to our team. And of course I go there every morning, say good morning, share a few memes, like ask about random things. So we have a random channel where we can talk about random stuff.
inside
But yeah,
inside trading from inside
yeah, yeah.
from the company.
Yeah, but
Something.
when we have a low engaged crowd, you should apply the same tactics that you apply for a broader community, which is probably want to start conversation, probably want to connect people, like Richard just described, right? So you want to tag people that can discuss about that topic or reply that question. So it's about applying the same tactics as you apply to a broader community, because there is in fact a shorter community that lives inside your community.
Last minute and last question. I try to merge the two questions from Lydia and Andrea. What is a good time to start a super user program in your community? And what is the good number of super user in a community of 1,000 members or less?
Okay, so first question, what is the good timing? Um, so you can decide. So for example, if you are launching a community, you can decide if you want to launch and then after 6 months or 1 year you launch this program, or you can decide to launch this program as part of the launch of the community. But the detail here is, if you want to launch it when you are launching your community, you are in the type of, okay, you want to promote that behavior, right? So we are not actually rewarding, so we are kind of providing a framework for people to help to grow their community and to launch their community. So you can apply it at the beginning or along the way, so right now Q4, it's a perfect way for you to plan your programs for next year. So if you are considering, start right now building your narrative, your goals, how this will impact your business, how this will impact your community members, and just launch it, right? I think every company, every community should have a program like this.
Yeah,
The second question was the ideal
the good
number.
number. Yeah.
Okay. Another question that we get a lot of times, and every time that I get this question right now, I remember a podcast episode that Brian and Erica Cool did about super user programs. I don't know if you follow. You
Yeah,
should follow. Okay,
you
you
should
should
follow.
you should follow this podcast because oh my god, they are brilliant. So they have an episode about super users. So it's called "This is not a popularity contest," and Erica says that every time that someone does that question, she starts itching, right? Because yeah, so the management will hear, oh, X percentage of your community members should be super users because this will help blah 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 stuff, right? But it's not about the number. Of course the numbers look good in percentage. This is about the quality. This is about the impact that their contributions are doing. So this is not about a magic number. It's about having evidence of the value. And you can start by sharing stories, great stories of how the super users helped close the deal, how super users, helped reduce the support time for replying to support tickets. So it's about, you creating those stories, and whenever you can, having the data ready to show. But the data to show impact, not about the number of people, right? Because imagine that my KPIs is about the number of people. I would select everyone that came into my my radar, right? Because my goal is to achieve 200, 200 super users. Come aboard, people! Just join everyone. I will hit my goal for this year, right? So one last thing, Alessio, because we are running out of time. So I recommended the podcast from Brian and Erica. I also recommend, Fever Bee community for people who are trying to launch and create a program like this. There's a section which is feverbee.com/super users. That is the Bible for super users programs. So so 5 years ago, I rely on that content to launch
Thank you,
the
Richard.
first program. So yeah, thank you, Richard, and for having this documentation. So it's super useful. You should rely on that documentation to build your program and to improve it, of course.
We are running out of time. It was amazing. Thank you.
It was, Alessio.
Thank you for everything. I'm so happy to having you here. And for the Italian people, tra un minuto riparte la seconda sezione, quindi salutiamo Vera e tra poco avremo Edu Giansante tra qualche minuto, quindi grazie tante di essere stata qui con noi. Grazie Vera, è stato un piacere.
Grazie Alessio.